2. State regulation of wages is a means of robbing the working class. Wages regulation. Under capitalism, state regulation of wages often results in lowering wages, mainly through taxes and nominal wage freezes amidst rising prices. Role of taxes. Taxes serve as a primary method for regulating living standards, extracting surplus and necessary labor from peasants and workers, and are a significant source of profit for monopolies. State budget and monopolies. The state budget becomes a tool to ensure maximum profit for monopolies, with taxes funding the oppressive state apparatus and benefiting the exploiters. Impact on workers and peasants. Taxes significantly reduce the income of workers and peasants, requiring state enforcement, and exacerbate the oppression and exploitation under capitalism. Destructive effects on peasantry. In capitalist countries, taxes devastate peasant farming, contributing to their impoverishment and ruin, as demonstrated historically in pre-revolutionary Russia. Marx on taxes. Marx highlighted that taxes force workers to overwork and deduct from their minimum subsistence, contributing to their impoverishment. Imperialism and tax burden. The growth in the tax burden during imperialism is a major factor in the absolute impoverishment of the working class and the destruction of labor power. Taxes as exploitation. Taxes have become a legalized system for the confiscation of labor income, leading to the impoverishment of the population in capitalist countries. War and taxation. During wartime, taxes finance military expenses, with the burden shifted onto working people, as seen in Japan during World War II. Tax increase in Japan. From 1936 to 1945, Japan's tax revenue increased 12-fold through the introduction of new taxes, higher rates, and expansion of taxable income. Forced savings as tax. In Japan, forced wage deductions into savings funds acted as a new tax, never returned to workers, absorbing a significant portion of income. Taxation in the United States. Influenced by World Wars, U.S. Taxation evolved to include income taxes on lower earnings, with increased rates during and after wars, exemplifying the crisis of capitalism. Reduction in tax-free minimum income. In 1940-41, the U.S. introduced taxation on income starting from $1,000 for singles and $2,000 for married couples without dependents. Taxes for singles with $2,000 income increased from $32 in 1939 to $345 in 1944-45. With $3,000 income, from $68 to $585. Married couples without dependents with a $3,000 income paid $475 in 1944-45 compared to $8 previously. Singles with a $2,000 income paid 17.2% in taxes, while those with $3,000 paid 19% in 1944-45. Additional tax burdens. Federal, state, and local taxes in the U.S. in 1944-45 totaled approximately $10 billion. Taxation during wartime increased worker exploitation, with taxes significantly rising in both the U.S. and England. Taxation in England. Total tax revenues increased from £896.4 million in 1938-39 to £3,139.5 million in 1944-45. Direct income taxes rose from £398 million to £1,390 million due to lower tax-free minimums and increased taxpayer numbers. Taxpayer count increased from 4 million in 1938-39 to 13 million in 1943-44. Indirect tax revenues, including excise and customs duties, rose significantly during the war. Increased living costs. Rising costs of living, including essentials and housing, further exploited workers. Nominal wage data often obscured the true economic hardship faced by the majority of workers. High prices and unemployment increased the financial burden on workers. Wage and price discrepancies. Nominal wage increases during the war did not match the rise in living costs. The freezing of wages and prohibition of strikes were used to maintain the wage-price gap. Even when nominal wages rose, they lagged behind the cost of living increases. Historical context and impact. During World War I, Germany saw nominal wages increase by 2.2 times by 1918, but living costs rose by over 300%, leading to a 30% drop in real wages. The U.S. experienced nominal wage increases during World War II but also faced rapid living cost rises, resulting in decreased real wages for workers. Official statistics often understated the actual decline in real wages due to methodological flaws and market conditions. Nominal wages versus cost of living during World War I. During World War I, nominal wages increased, but they could not keep pace with the rapid rise in the cost of living. The decline in real wages was most significant in 1918. American monopolists made huge profits during the war, while workers' wages failed to meet basic needs. By 1919, wages in industry and railroads covered only 55% of a working family's budget. Wage discrepancies in the post-World War I era. In his 1920 report, Lenin highlighted the gap between wages and price increases in victorious countries. USA, prices rose 120%, wages 100%. England, food prices up 170%, wages 130%. France, food prices up 300%, wages 200%. Japan, prices up 130%, wages 60%. This situation led to growing dissatisfaction and revolutionary sentiments among workers. Wage regulation during World War II. Germany. The 1939 War Economy Law prohibited wage increases and reduced wages by eliminating bonuses, despite rising living costs. Japan. Wage rates were frozen at 1,939 levels, while prices rose significantly, often forcing workers to rely on the black market. Official statistics in Japan falsely suggested that real wages increased, while in reality, they decreased by 35 to 40% compared to 1937. Wage dynamics in the USA during World War II. The USA saw an increase in nominal wages, but this masked the true economic situation of workers. Nominal wage data included high salaries of executives and did not account for part-time or lower-wage workers. The rise in nominal wages was overshadowed by higher taxes and increased living costs. The Bureau of Labor Statistics was accused of manipulating cost of living indices to understate price increases. Government response and union pressure. In 1942, the National Labor Administration was pressured to raise wages in small metallurgy due to living cost increases. President Roosevelt established a cost of living commission in 1943 to examine the Bureau of Labor Statistics Index. Unions revealed manipulation techniques used by the Bureau, such as using regulated prices for a few items to generalize the entire food budget. Impact on workers. Real wages in the USA did not grow. Instead, they decreased due to the rising cost of living and inadequate wage adjustments. Workers in smaller towns faced even higher costs due to the disappearance of cheaper goods and expansion of factories. Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, criticism. Ignored hidden price increases by selling inferior goods at higher prices during the war. Overlooked significant price hikes in food service establishments and black market prices. Did not account for direct taxes or other necessary expenses of working families. A commission of economists admitted the BLS index didn't accurately reflect the cost of living dynamics. Unions analysis. Unions found a significant increase in the cost of living compared to BLS data from January 1941 to December 1943. The trade unions' calculations did not fully reflect actual price increases, including in areas like fuel and miscellaneous goods. Despite incomplete data, unions showed the cost of living rose much faster than BLS figures indicated. Post-war critiques and alternative indices. The United Trade Union of Electrical and Radio Industry Workers continued critiquing BLS post-war. The BLS index overestimated high-income family influence and underestimated low-income families, distorting the cost of living index. Manipulations in the index were often aimed at lowering it to favor entrepreneurs. Comparison with other indices. The Bureau of Agricultural Economics Index, based on consistent criteria since 1939, showed faster growth than the BLS index. Price changes were not the sole factor affecting the cost of living. Other expenses such as nutrition, childcare, and transport increased. Critique of BLS index. The BLS index was seen as pro-capitalist and anti-worker, failing to capture the true cost of living increases. The Electrical Workers Union attempted to construct a corrected index, though it acknowledged remaining deficiencies. Wages and living standards. The corrected index revealed that real wages declined due to the faster rise in living costs and taxes compared to nominal wage increases. State economic regulation favored large monopolies, restraining wage growth while allowing price and tax increases. Impact of unemployment. Unemployment affects the working class by risking starvation, depressing wages, and reducing family income. Economist S. Bell emphasized considering unemployment and cost of living when assessing workers' economic situations. Bell analyzed wages for various industries from 1919 to 1938, including unemployed workers in his calculations. Unemployment's impact on wages. Unemployment significantly affects the wages of employed workers. In 1922, unemployment rose to 22%, from 10% in 1920, leading to a nearly 16% drop in wages. The 1929-1933 crisis saw unemployment rise to 46% in 1933, causing a 36% wage drop compared to 1929. The 1937-1938 crisis also saw a significant wage drop despite retaining only the most qualified workers. Standard of living and unemployment. Unemployment affects the standard of living by reducing the wages on which entire families depend. Bell's calculation shows wages, considering both employed and unemployed, fell by over 60% from 1929 to 1933. Crisis management in the U.S. U.S. crisis management failed to eliminate unemployment. Post-1933, unemployment remained high until World War II, with 8.12 million unemployed in 1940. Unemployment decreased during the war due to military enlistment and arms production but was not eliminated. Wartime employment statistics. Official data underestimates unemployment during the war. Many counted as employed were not working or worked part-time. Actual unemployment figures remained high, with over 2.3 million completely unemployed in 1943. Workers' income and living conditions. Real wages decreased, and working conditions worsened. Average annual earnings covered only 60 to 70% of the minimum family budget. 70% of U.S. families in 1945 had income below the subsistence level. Savings and deferred demand. Claims of significant worker savings during the war are false. A 1946 survey showed 77% of savings concentrated among the top 20% of families. Half of all families had no significant savings. State regulation and worker exploitation. State regulation enriches monopolists by increasing worker exploitation. Lenin highlighted that workers' wages are insufficient for savings or social insurance against unemployment and other life risks.